Welcome to the Veronica Edwards Show, where we have fun financial conversations that everyone listening can apply to their personal and professional life. I'm your host, Veronica Edwards, CPA, and we are back here, season 5, completely independent, sponsored by Balance Virtually, LLC, my accounting and consulting business. I definitely want to shout out the B team. If you listen to my season 5 opening monologue, you know that since September, we've been on hiatus due to Hurricane Helene that affected many people here in Western North Carolina and in the Carolinas. So I just want to thank everybody. We hit 5,000 downloads. So now we're shooting for 6,000 downloads in season 5, approaching season 6. So this episode is going to air in April, and we wanted to highlight Stress Awareness Month, which is a time to recognize the impact of stress on our daily lives and find ways to manage it effectively. Of course, women of color often face unique stressors due to societal expectations, workplace challenges, and personal responsibilities. So this is a special episode of the Veronica Edwards Show, and I have a very special guest. So I want to introduce this beautiful young lady, Miss Ishia Sellers, who is a professional licensed nutritionist. So Ishia is a professional licensed nutritionist with Mecklenburg County in Charlotte, North Carolina, with over 17 years of experience in public health, clinical services, and private practice. Ishia has dedicated her career to improving nutrition in low-income and disadvantaged communities. Originally from Florence, South Carolina in the house today, baby. Come on now. She has lived in Charlotte, North Carolina since '08. She holds a Bachelor of Science in Professional Biology and a Master's of Science in Nutritional Sciences from South Carolina State University, as well as an MBA in Healthcare Administration from the University of Phoenix. Ishia is a proud member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated.
Yes,
and it's just my honorary sorority sister. And she enjoys traveling, makeup, and you're going to see that face is beat, honey, and motivational speaking. Her life motto is, if passion drives you, let reason hold the reins. This philosophy highlights the importance of balancing enthusiasm with rational thought in all areas of life. So without further ado, honey, I got my good friend, my honorary sorority sister, my South Carolinian friend, Miss Ishia Sellers. Let's go, Ishia.
Let's go. I am so excited to finally be on the podcast. Okay, this has been a long time.
Yes.
This has been a very long time.
Yes.
And I feel like the stories finally aligned. And here we are, excited to play a little bit of, we got to get a kiki on here, but just informing everyone that we're crazy. Yeah, fun, but we know how to keep it, we know how to keep it professional and educate people at the time. So I'm excited.
Yes, we play hard and we work hard. So Ishia, I would love, I gave a intro, your bio, which is free. Very impressive, darling. But I would just love for you to share with people, you're from Florence, South Carolina. A lot of people just know that's, what did I say?
That is
on the way, on the way to Myrtle Beach is what I think about.
On the way to between Myrtle Beach and Columbia.
And so tell us, how from Florence, South Carolina, did you get to South Carolina State and get you to Charlotte and all that stuff? And then, of course, we got to talk about how we met 18 years ago at our good friend Itasky, our next bachelorette party that I threw in Charlotte. So tell everybody all the things.
Okay, so let's start. So what got me there? So I decided, I remember in high school, 12th grade, I was kind of at the end. It was I wanted to do USC in Columbia and I wanted to do SC State. SC State was actually my second choice. I'm really honest, going to USC, I was going to be a Gamecock, honey. Even in high school, I was going to summer camps at USC. And so my freshman year, I went to go, when I was supposed to leave to go to USC, I got a letter in the mail saying that they had they were out of dorms. So they didn't have any. So in order for you to stay, girl, that you would have to get an appointment off campus. So my daddy was like, oh, no.
No, I couldn't even have a car, let alone be off campus.
Yeah, my daddy was like, no, we're not paying for no apartment for you to stay off campus. Your freshman year, you had to drive. So my plan was to go to SC State and stay there for a semester and then transfer over back to USC. And girl, honestly, I ran into some issues trying to transfer. Of course, SC State is a HBCU. So some of the issues that I ran into were that the credits weren't going to transfer over. So in order for me to
Hmm.
transfer over, I would have had to start all over again. And my daddy was like, "Nope, we're not doing that. You're gonna
Right.
spend this money. Like you're gonna have to finish it too." So that's what led me into going to SC State and staying at SC State. And when I was there, when I would tell you, it was like a culture shock. I'm telling you, it's a culture shock.
Yes.
Okay, it was a culture shock, but I loved it because I got to be around, so many great people of different races, everybody just coming together. And I'd had so many stigmas about HBCUs
Yes.
that
Historically Black colleges,
yeah,
for those people
certainly
that
Black
don't know.
college. It was like so many people saw so many things, and I had a great experience. Like I definitely appreciated it. And again, when I was going there, my objective was to become a doctor. Girl, I was going to be a doctor, okay, a
What?
medical. Yeah,
Dr.
I
Aisha.
Dr. Aisha, it was my dream. And when I was there, get my, bachelor's in professional biology, girl, I had to take that MCAT for medical school, and that's a 7 hour test thing. And I
Yeah.
couldn't do it. Like I couldn't do it. Like I took so many courses, like I did so
Yep.
many trainings. I literally like that it wasn't working for me. So I was like, okay, let's switch game plan. What else can I do? What else
Right.
I like? So when I was there, I actually was getting a scholarship as well from the football team because I was doing athletic.
I
I was like,
remember,
you remember that girl? I was taping them ankles, honey. On
honey,
out.
she doing over there on the sideline with the football players.
And they paid for me. The football coach paid for me to be like an athletic trainer. So it was
Wow.
in that I started like looking at nutrition and
Mhm.
figuring out like, you know what, I think I might like start like, enjoy sports nutrition. So I then went and got my master's and they said, hey, if you stay here and work with this team, then we'll pay for you to get your master's. So I stayed at SC State to get my master's in nutritional science. And my objective was sports nutrition. Sports nutrition was always about, I want to know
I
exactly
like
what you
that.
need to eat, how much you needed to eat, what foods are good to make sure that you can perform at your maximum potential. And I worked with basketball and track. I did basketball. I kind of did all the sports. My main sports are football and track.
Hmm.
And that's why I ended up getting my degree in nutritional sciences. And so when I left state with my degree in nutritional sciences is when I moved to Charlotte. My objective moving to Charlotte was, oh, I'm going to go ahead and be an athletic trainer, a grad assistant for the Hornets, right? So it's
Right.
not many women in that profession, to be honest with you, as far as athletic trainers are concerned. So I knew it was kind of going to be hard. I did like an internship with like the Panthers. And I was like, yeah,
Yeah.
this. Like I was like, it was fun in college, but then I was like, again, I kind of knew what I wanted to do and what
Hmm.
it wasn't gonna be in sports nutrition. So I switched it over to like regular nutrition, got a job working in Mecklenburg County, and it kind
Hmm.
of was a so I just did nutrition, in Mecklenburg County doing public health. And I love it. I love it. I love it. A lot of great
Aisha, I know you got so many stories back in South Carolina State, honey, when you was taping them
honey,
knees and ankles.
honey, honey. SC State owes me nothing, okay? SC State owes
Yes.
okay, but I love it because I met so many great people.
Yes.
Again, NC State is why Tasky Angel, that's what brought us together.
Yes.
You
We
know what
have,
I'm saying? So,
yes.
so it's like you meet so many people, and I realized then, people have these stigmas about different schools and universities, but it's all about what you make out of it. You're going to get out
Yes.
what you put. You know what I'm saying? So it doesn't matter if you're going to A, B, C, D, and C. You just have to make sure you do what you need to do. Keep your head on, keep a good head on your shoulders and
Yep.
apply yourself and just go for it. Like really go for it. So again, that
Yes.
was my whole thing of being there. And then moving to Charlotte was a challenge in and of itself because I was
Hmm.
offered a job in South Carolina. And I was like, this not gonna give me the money that I need to make. Like, South Carolina, I was kind of scared to venture out because pretty much everybody in my family they went to school and they went back home to South Carolina. I knew I did not want to be in South Carolina. I knew
Girl, me
that.
too. Me too. I was the same way. I was like, I got to get out. And I moved to Charlotte. So we
Yeah,
had that similar
I
path.
couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. So Charlotte was like that even ground for me.
Yep.
And so it was just like I said, I met great people here. I got a lot of great opportunities. And you really just got set up. I felt like for success. I feel like I
Yes.
had to go out there. I had to work for it. It wasn't like easily given to me, but it's opened like a lot of doors for me that I feel like if I was in South Carolina, I may not have had the opportunities because those
Right.
opportunities were not there at that time. They're getting there now, but it's still
Right.
way, way behind of where it needs to be. So,
No, I agree. No, I
girl,
totally agree. I moved to Charlotte in 2000. I went to UNC Charlotte, but I would always come down to South Carolina State for the homecomings and to hang out.
yes,
And I have a soon to be 10-year-old son. You have two sons. would you recommend for them to go to historically Black college?
Absolutely,
Me
absolutely.
too.
I would recommend. I feel like it's a great experience because I feel like when you have like these HBCUs, you kind of are coming in
Hmm.
contact with people from all different areas of life.
Yes.
It's not cookie cutter because I don't want
Right.
my child anything cookie cutter. Like I need him to know that there's differences all around the world, but that doesn't mean that makes us stronger. Unified people. When you come from different
Yes.
backgrounds, like everything doesn't have to be super cookie cutter. So I loved it. And also like one of the things is I feel like when like HBCUs, like everybody knows you. You're not a number. Like,
Yes, it's a family. I feel like the
it's a
teachers stay in
family.
touch with you, all the
Right.
things.
Right. It's a little bit different. You get that more homey like feeling, like, okay,
Hmm.
girl, we're a family. You're just not a number. Everybody knows who you are. So it's just good in that domain. So I would recommend them definitely. I would want them to go to HBCU so they can at least get that experience. But of course it's up to them.
I'm the same way because in Western North Carolina, I love it, but it is, not a lot of diversity up here.
Right.
And my son is usually always the only little Black boy in the class or different things. And
Yeah.
thank God nobody's treated him
Right.
differently, but I do want him to get that experience, even if it's just for that 4 years, if he decides
Yeah.
he doesn't want to, whatever.
Right.
I agree with you, especially even in 2025. Some people like, why do you still have to have all Black this or all girl this or all guy that? Because we do,
We
because
do.
there's still prejudice and there's still things that we have to fight against. But
Right.
before we get into the topics of stress awareness and how it affects women of color, we have to talk about how we met 18 years ago. If you can believe it's been 18 years.
I
I feel
can't
like
believe it's been that long. I cannot believe,
it'll be
girl.
18 years, I think, in
Well, we
July
look
that
good, and we look good.
we
We
look
look like
fabulous. So Aisha, what was your first impression of me, friend? Like, what was you
honey,
thinking? All
your
the
first
things.
impression. Let me tell you something. I said, "Oh my God, somebody who acts like me." Oh my.
Right. We hit it off immediately. And
I
then I
mean,
was in Charlotte when you moved to Charlotte. But yes, tell me all
yes,
the things.
hun. So all the things like I always feel like, girl, I was like the one. Like I don't want to say like the black sheep, but I was like the loud, crazy, wild one.
Like,
Like.
Aisha, don't say that. You're doing too
Honey,
much.
I'm always been, and I still am. I realize I am not for everybody, right? Everybody can't
Period.
take me and my energy and how I am. But I always felt like I always had to like suppress like my personality. I have like a over the top,
Right.
personality and certain characteristics. Like people like Veronica, we make people laugh by just being who we are, right?
Right.
Like we're just
Right.
being who we are. But people
Right.
just think, oh my God, everybody can and we are just authentic and who we are. So when I met you, honey, and I was like, oh, this girl crazier than me. And it was you were so like I loved like you were so sweet and accommodating. Like you want to get in, you want to learn, you want to know everything. About somebody like you really took the time to like to get to learn and try to know like you had a true interest in there. And like, okay, let's see who this girl is. And it just was, like I said, you when you come into people and you make friends with people, you don't know how those people friends are gonna be, how
Right.
you're gonna with other people's friends. 'Cause everybody has different personalities. So
Uh-huh.
it was like a breath of fresh air when I saw like you were so
Yes.
genuine. Because we know we got some fake we got
Huh.
some fake okay, we got
Not
some fake ones.
everybody's around that started 18 years ago. So I
Right.
think that says a lot. And Aisha, we both, not to toot our own horn, but we tooting up in here. We got a lot of friends that we've been friends with 20 plus years. So that says
Absolutely.
a lot
Absolutely.
about us.
That's
And
that's a whole
anytime,
lot.
Aisha, you always down. Like if a friend's in need, Aisha's gonna be there. Aisha gonna jump in that
Yeah.
car, she'll
Yeah.
fly, she'll
Yeah.
do all the things with 3 kids in tow, all the
Yeah.
stuff. So I
Yeah.
always appreciated that you was always the same. Like you treated me just
Yeah.
like you treated our good friends that we're talking about, Dr. Itasky Arnett, Dr. Angel
Ma'am.
Williams,
Yes,
our
ma'am.
mutual friends that also sorority members of Delta Sigma Theta
Okay.
Incorporated, Alpha Xi, South
Okay.
Carolina State University. Let's go. I know my history. And
Okay, you know
I
it.
and I just always loved Aisha too. We were in Angel's
Absolutely.
wedding together.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
did Tasky's bachelorette party. We
Yeah.
definitely have to pay respects to a good friend of ours, also sorority sister, Dr. Celeste Gatson, just passed
Oh,
away recently. And we miss her so much. And she was known
okay.
for makeup just as much as Aisha. So that's why I said I'm putting my face on today.
Honey.
Dr. Celeste had told me I got my little studio. She was a Mac
Yeah.
girl,
Yes, ma'am.
Machiavelli.
Yes, ma'am.
And
Listen.
so we're just going to keep it going. We're going to keep that legacy going, that friendship.
Oh,
And I'm
yeah.
so glad that you talked about just being yourself and being authentic. And that's going to come into play what we're talking about with Stress Awareness Month. So, Aisha, I would love if you can just start talking to us about the impact of stress on women of color, maybe some experiences that you went through. Then we'll talk about some tips and just different
Right.
ways that you can manage it.
Right. I feel like women in general, we take on a lot. You know, we have to wear so many hats, and we always have to be on all the
Yep.
time.
Yep.
I feel like, even in motherhood, you might see that. Daddy might be sick and he shut down. Mama's sick. We got to keep it moving, right? We keep it pushing. So women take
Sure.
on a lot.
Hmm.
When it comes, right? So our mental health, our stress is high. Our mental health, it suffers, and we just got to keep going, because I feel like that's kind of like ingrained in us as women. Like, you got to keep
Yep.
going.
Yep.
But unfortunately, especially in the African American community, we are not taught. And I want to say weakness, but when we embrace sometimes those
Mhm.
emotions, a lot of times African American people, women in general, are not taught to embrace those emotions, keep it moving, don't show
Right.
weakness, don't do A, B, C, and E. So we don't get the help that we need. Our stress level is super, super high, and we
Hmm.
don't recognize, look at it as normal. And just going into that, I've always been, like we said, a person that's just been all over the place. Like, I'm going to have you have a good laugh. It's all about
Me
having
too.
fun. But
Yes.
I personally, had an experience where my stress level hit so high with the birth of my first son. All of y'all know what happened, with me when I struggled to have kids. Like, it was not an easy
Mhm.
thing when me and my husband were trying to have children. I finally got pregnant. We had done, so many things, medical procedures trying to get pregnant. We got pregnant on our own. I
Wow.
had a high risk pregnancy, so it was already kind of stressful. And
Yes.
when I had my son, okay, after having a high risk pregnancy, I'm thinking, okay, we're kind of at the end. And I remember I was 37 weeks pregnant. I woke up one
Hmm.
morning, feeling my son move. I was on complete bed rest that pregnancy. So it's stressful, like very
Yes.
stressful. My mental health was suffering. But again,
Mm.
I felt like I couldn't really talk to people about it because nobody really understood. They didn't, sometimes when you don't go through things, you really don't know, what I'm saying
Sure.
to you.
Yep.
So, I'm stressed out. I'm wanting to make sure, that everything is good for the baby. And I wake up 37 weeks, I don't feel my baby moving, which is really
Hmm.
not normal. I get up and drink a little bit of pineapple juice, all these things. He's still not moving. I call the doctor. They're like, you know what? Let's just go ahead and get you in. They bring me into the doctor's office. They do like this biophysical profile on my son. They say, hey, seems like he's in distress. Let's just go ahead and get him out. Okay, we just need to get the baby out.
Let's go.
So we go to the hospital, and they put him on the monitor. His heartbeat's really, really good. And they say, they had me set up to push him out. Okay, so he wouldn't stay on the monitor. So they said, let's give you a little bit of Pitocin
Yep.
and let's break your water to kind of speed up the process. So they put me back on the monitor. They gave me the Pitocin. Of course, it's accelerating like the labor. And they decide, let's break your water. And when they broke my water, all hell broke loose. Okay,
Oh.
everything is almost like a blur since then. So when they broke my water, with the combination, I guess, doing that with the Pitocin, my son hit his level of stress. Like, he couldn't take it anymore.
Mm.
His heart, his heart rate dropped like completely. So they had to take me into emergency surgery,
Mm.
to hear out. Like, I was not awake when my son was born. Like, I didn't know anything. So when
No.
all I remember is that we got to get the baby out. I was in the room, and then I woke up and I'm like, where's my baby? And nobody would tell me where my baby was at. They kept
Ah.
saying, be in here shortly. The doctor will be in here shortly. And I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, you mean to tell me I done went through all these years, all this time trying to have this baby. I've been on complete bed rest, and you won't tell me what's going on with my baby. I'm thinking my baby is gone. So the
Sure.
doctor comes in and says, hey, your son was really, really sick. He was born and he let out a cry and he stopped breathing for 15 minutes. They had to do CPR for 15 minutes on my baby son to get him back breathing. So of course, because of that, he suffered so much damage. Heart, liver, lungs, spleen,
Uh,
everything got hit. And so, it wasn't looking good for him. And for me, I couldn't even see him. I couldn't see him because I had a C-section. So
mm.
of course, I had to be, in the bed, on blood thinners to prevent blood clots. So I didn't see my son until he was over like 12 hours old. Okay. And when I went to see him, he's tubes, he's everything else. And honestly, it's
Oh.
because looking at him, girl, he was a big old pork chop, honey. He was 11 pounds, 13 ounces. Okay.
What?
11
Where the?
a whopper, honey. And I was looking at him and I'm looking at this big old robust baby. And I'm like, this baby is sick. He is sick because I couldn't touch him because they didn't want anything to stimulate him. Because again, he
Uh,
stopped. So at that point, it was new to Charlotte. He was the first baby in Charlotte to receive medical hypothermia. So they put him in a medical hypothermia, which means they put him in a freezing state.
I had no
They did.
idea, Aisha. I'm listening to this, but I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm
Yes.
stressed out
So
listening to this.
they put him in a medical hypothermia to stop any further brain damage from happening. I think when he was born, girl, his APGARs, if anybody who's a mama knows what APGARs are, his APGARs like 001, like they were that low, like bad. So
Wow.
they did a medical hypothermia, and he was in a freezing state for 3 days. And so with the medical hypothermia, they put you in a freezing state for 3 days, where they have you in a freezing state to stop any further brain damage from happening. And then over the course of 4 days, they slowly warm you up to room temperature.
Mm.
So in that process, he did fine, but girl, he just kept getting worse. So by the time my son was 5 days old, he was born at 11, 13. He was up to 16, 14 in weight, because then he developed something called the leaky capillary system, because they was giving him IVs, giving him fluid.
Oh my goodness.
So the blood was literally leaking in his skin. Girl, I mean, everything that they were trying to do was not working for my son. So I remember the doctors coming to us and they said, you know what? He's not going to make it. Like, your son's not going to make it. He's going to die. They want us to sign the DNR papers. They were like, if he does live, they said, he's going to be in a vegetable. He's going to be a vegetable state. He's not going to know you. He's not going to have any brain activity. They were doing all kinds of EEGs on him, girl. No brain activity. It was bad. So, girl, I hit my low. I hit my lowest state ever that I can think of mentally, and I did not know what to do. I just was like, oh my God. And the only thing I remember thinking was they sent me home on some pain medication. I remember I saw my son. I left the hospital. I honestly was prepared to never see him again. I said my goodbyes and I kissed on him, loved him. Girl, it was so many people coming around saying, we're praying for your son. But at that moment, I was like, I'm never going to see him again. Like, he was off, and everything that they were doing was literally not working. And I remember saying to myself, like, oh my God, like, this is just not going to work. Like this is just it. Girl, so when they did that, I remember leaving the hospital with medication. And I remember telling myself, if they call and say that my son is not going to make it, I'm taking all these pills.
No.
Going to sleep. I didn't tell nobody what I was going to do. And I scared myself from having those thoughts. Okay. I was struggling mentally, stress level at an all-time high, girl. They were putting me on like damn near suicide watch in the hospital. Like, that's how bad off I was. Stop eating. And I didn't realize it. But I remember telling myself, son does not make it. I'm taking all these pills and I'm going to sleep. I just want the pain to stop. And I never told nobody. I never told nobody my plan, because I was literally going to do it. If I got that phone call saying my son was gone, girl, I was going to be gone with him. That was my plan. And it scared the crap out of me. And I was thinking, oh my God, like, what in the world? But girl, it was just like, this is what it is. So that leads me to the whole thing of, I was struggling. I didn't know how to reach out. I didn't know how to say I needed help. I didn't know what to tell. You know what I'm saying? I just didn't know. I had no idea what to do. So again, a lot of women struggle with that. And like I said, again, I'm known to be the crazy person.
We're always happy and upbeat, and then we don't want to stress other people with our stress.
We don't want to stress. We're all about lifting other people up. And so that goes to show you that sometimes, and I'm a strong person, I felt like people were checking out on me, and I was kind of trying to keep that uniform front. But honey, it was, like I always say, it's not the person that y'all need to look at when you're talking about somebody in the room who is struggling with mental health. It needs to be that person who's the loudest, who's the craziest, who's making everybody laugh. That's the person who's struggling with their mental health. But you just don't know it because we package it and we present it so differently. So those things are things, like I said, that personally affected me and made me realize, like, hey, I got to get help. To God be the glory, my son lived. He is thriving.
Yes.
So he is like honey larger than life. But that just goes to show you again that we don't have the tools that we need. I didn't have the skill. I didn't know how to say, hey, I need to help. I didn't know what I was experiencing myself. I didn't know what it was. But I hit my lowest point. And in that moment, I was like, I don't want to be here. Like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to live. And that's what a lot of women go through, especially women of color. And we don't know what resources to go to. We don't know how to talk, because you go to family, pray about it. You got to pray. And I'm not taking prayer away, but you got to take steps in addition to prayer.
Yes. And I just want to add, like, it's your nutrition, it's exercise, it's setting boundaries, it's all those things that a lot of time that we don't do. And
Yes.
oh my gosh, Aisha, there's so much more I want to ask you. We're already to the end of the show, Aisha. Like
I
we're
know.
already to the end of the show because
Okay.
I wanted this show to be an introduction to you
Right.
and your background and that stress awareness. Because like you said, a lot of times people like us, we up here strong and we're fun and we're the light in the room. And that's a
Yes.
compliment and we appreciate that. But a lot of times we feel so dark inside, but we're not saying anything because of that expectation and not
Absolutely.
having those tools. So I would love, Aisha, for you to come back
Of
on and
course.
we
Of course.
continue to have these real life women of color mothers. Aisha now is the mother of a 12-year-old, a 7-year-old, and a 4-year-old,
Yes.
at the journey that you've been on for the last 12 years. And I'm just so thankful for you sharing this because I know there's somebody listening that this is going to help. And I
Absolutely.
appreciate you being so candid about it because it is something in our community that we don't talk about. There's nothing wrong with being vulnerable if it's going to help save your life.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, yes. So, Aisha, we'll have you back. I want to thank the V team. I
Absolutely.
want to thank everybody for listening. If you want to listen to this show, prior shows, go to veronicaedwards.buzzsprout.com. And if you want to follow Miss Aisha Sellers, Aisha, do you want to drop any of your handles, social media?
Yes. It's Aisha Sellers on Facebook. It's Peyton Pierce Presley Mama on Instagram, honey. You can follow me on any of those.